I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One change I want to make in the approval of the agenda that's been presented. Number 9, Wheelock Drain, Parjana Presentation. We're going to have that up there shortly, at the very end. Yeah, item number 9.
Can't hear you.
I got a sore throat. And,
Microphone? Turn the mics up.
After Treasurer's report. We're going to put it in right after the Treasurer's report and Bill's transfer.
We need to add number 5 under new business, consumer power publication.
If no changes made, make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Report.
Motion's been made as support. Roll call vote, please.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Corey.
Yes.
Sironi.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes. Need your motion to go to public hearing. Can I make a motion that we go into the public hearing, Parks and Recreation Plan?
Report.
Motion's been made. I'll support the motion. You support it? Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Matthews.
Yes.
Corey.
Yes.
Sironi.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
Anybody would like to talk to the Parks and Recs plan, you can come to the microphone, state your name, just to let everyone know that any typos or anything like that that's in there will be corrected before the final distribution of the plan. And there was one thing that I'm sure stood out to everyone. It should say the village is not going to look at any other type of funding, special assessment, a tax or anything for taking care of any other projects within there. Hopefully that answers the question.
Anything else?
Want to talk? We can talk.
If not, I'll close the portion of the
Go
meeting.
ahead, Tom. You've got people that want to talk.
We're not. We'll my starter now.
You got to jump fast.
Okay. Dan Keller, I'm 8312 Meadow Creek Drive, here in Goodrich. I'm reading a written statement. I am here to represent the opinions of the Goodrich Village Volunteer Group on the Parks and Recs Master Plan. We strongly believe that within the park plan, the state has suggested that our community forms a Parks and Recreation Board is highly important. A dedicated group of thinkers and planners who can focus on the single topic of recreation is the jumpstart our master plan needs to get traction. The council has enough items on their plate already. Our volunteer group believes that far more progress can be had with our parks by creating a board to represent constructive, thought-out, and financially feasible projects in accordance with the master plan. A dedicated independent parks and recreation board can bring the momentum we need to both implement new plans and to maintain existing facilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All about 3 minutes if you can.
So I came in, and my name's Katie Fitt, from 9341 Green Road. I came and approached you guys back in March regarding the plan for Park and Rec. I presented this to you, I gave you an entire presentation, and I asked you to be involved. I asked to participate in the planning for the park. boom, out of nowhere last month, you slam us with a Parks and Rec master plan. The only changes you've made are not for the community. This is about implementing a dam. It's the entire plan that you have changed. The only thing you changed on the Parks and Rec master plan was putting in this dam project that we, the voters, never got a choice to speak about. Is this a joke? This is not the kind of master plan our community deserves. We deserve a Parks and Rec master plan where we actually work on improving our parks. Whose input was given with this latest Parks and Rec plan? Was this the planning company? Did they decide what we needed? Can anybody answer that? Because I know my input wasn't included. Whose input was included?
I think they're listening to you.
Unbelievable. So, well, I do agree with the last statement about we need some sort of formal committee. And I would like to submit my application as a committee member to the Parks and Rec, because I think before we adopt any sort of new plan, we need to have a proper committee. We need the input of everybody. So I respectfully like to submit this.
Good idea. Anyone else? If not, to make a motion to close the public hearing.
At what point will we ask questions of this planning committee?
At what point, what?
At what point will we discuss this as a council? Are we ready to adopt it, or are we ready to discuss it?
Well, I'm sure it'll be discussed, a lot deeper than it has been. I think the idea was just to get the master plan out there. And, for sure, there's gonna be more than one meeting on the master plan on the Parks and Recs. That's a big project, it's an important project. There's a number of people that have great ideas. And I think in the end, we're gonna have to have a meeting with some of these people to get their concepts and what ideas this master plan would be all about.
Well,
And then make sure that it's something that, financially, that we can handle. Or I can't do it all at one time.
yeah, my concern is I got calls that it was all gonna be done tonight, and that is not what I hear. We're gonna be studying this. We're
Yeah,
gonna
over
be
time,
discussing
yeah.
this over time, it's not a decision tonight. Okay, well, I'm just reiterating what I was asked.
Okay, that's very good.
I would think if any item on the plan comes up, that we would be looking at, what's the impact of the maintenance that would be there, and what would the cost that would be, and even if you got grants, there's still that maintenance cost that you have to deal with on different aspects. So I would assume that would be looked at in that vein also.
Absolutely. It'd have to be. Okay, anyone else? If not, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing of Park and Recreation Plan.
Support?
Roll call vote, please.
Baldwin,
Yes.
McAdoo.
Yes?
Maureen,
Yes.
Sirles.
Yes.
Yes. Next on the agenda is approval of the minutes that we had a council meeting on September 8th. I need a motion to approve those minutes as presented. Second.
Baldwin, McAdoo.
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Sirles.
Yes.
Yes. And then we had a special council meeting on September 22nd. I need a motion to approve those as presented.
Excuse me, first, before we do that, got a question on those. Jerry Birchmeyer, 10477 Valley Street.
We're in the portion of getting a motion done here. Hang on a second.
Motion hasn't been made yet.
Get a second.
He's got a
Before you can
correction.
approve the minutes, I got a question on the minutes, before you can vote to acceptance.
Half allowed.
With all,
board that decides the minutes.
Yeah, we
The
should,
board decides the minutes.
we decide the minutes first. So we got a motion and.
Hang on a minute,
seconded.
just hang on.
So we need a roll call vote, please.
Baldwin, McAdoo. Maureen,
Yes.
Sirles.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes.
Public comment.
He's got a
We have
correction.
public comment here, 1 second.
got a-
Treasurer records the purple sheet.
You got the 22nd.
To a point of order, before a motion can be passed and voted on, debate is allowed on that.
The board
Just a
can
second.
debate, there's not opportunity for public comment when there's a motion to approve the minutes.
Where's the point of
But
order
there will
or
be- there
correction
will
of
be-
facts? It is.
There will be public comment,
Well, how can it be approved and accepted before there's a
because
discussion?
the board has the jurisdiction to do that without public comment.
Not if it's a correction of facts. He has to correct the facts, point of order.
That's the decision of the board.
Can I ask what guidelines of the meeting will run this by?
Mr. Chairman, so just continue the meeting, move along.
Yeah. Motion was made to approve the September 22nd.
Support.
Okay, be a roll call vote, please.
No, it's 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Baldwin.
Yeah.
Genesee.
No.
Maureen.
Yes.
Cirelli.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes. Next is the treasurer's report, which is in the purple sheet. Anyone have any questions?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Make a motion that we accept the treasury report from October 13th, 2014.
Motion been made. Roll call vote, please.
I'll support. Baldwin.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Maureen.
Yes.
Cirelli.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes. And the bills and transfers, which is on the green sheet, which may be white.
It's really a white sheet.
Yeah, the white sheet. I make a motion that we accept the bills and transfers dated September 1st, 2014 to September 30th, 2014.
Support.
Motion has been made and support. Roll call vote, please.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Mackey. Maureen.
Yes.
Cirelli.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes. I'm gonna probably, not pronounce the name correctly to you folks. But we have some folks here that's going to talk about the green infrastructure ideas. They've had a lot of experience at it, and it's gonna be something that's worthwhile listening to. We got a projector, gonna do some information on the wall here. If it works.
But we're with the company, should I begin?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna try to get this fired up so it actually does project on the wall. But we're with a company called Parjana, and we have a technology that helps manage stormwater and groundwater. Yeah, I'm hoping to, put this up on the wall.
The tree in front of the floor, and it's crashing the basement walls. So if you have the village of Hamptons, first house, first one, the boat is facing the basement wall. The insurance will cover this building. Any part of the construction house, if you want to place it
There we go. Okay. Anyway, we are a company based out of Detroit. We're a company based out of Detroit, Michigan. Yeah, it's one or the other, I guess. This will be good enough. And we have developed a technology, which is essentially this device here. And what we do is we put these in the ground with drill rigs that we have, and we manufacture the drill rigs as well, and we put those into the ground. And we can infiltrate a lot of water, a lot of storm water. And before I get started also, I just want to thank all of you for letting us be part of the agenda this evening. I can see this is a community that really cares. Look at the turnout for the different issues that you have. And I know one of the major issues you guys have been grappling with is some of the overflow of water that's flooding some homes adjacent to the Goodrich Country Club. The key, if you look at drainage, historically, the way that it's been done is people put pipes in and move the issues downstream. So you got a lot of water over here, you put drain tile in, you move it, you move it, you move it. What our technology does is it allows nature to actually handle the water. We can infiltrate the water where it falls, or we can infiltrate water where it's coming to. Traveled the course today to take a good look at it, looked over some of the materials and some of the other things presented by the Drain Commissioner. And we feel that our technology can really solve the issues you're having on the course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present a little bit about the technology, because it's really hard to grab and get your arms around it sort of the first time. I'm going to do my best in a very short period of time to explain how this works, and then show you what we did on Belle Isle, which was a really remarkable project that we installed, where we infiltrated a lot of water, and then hopefully be able to field some questions that you may have. And also, after we show you Belle Isle, what I'll try to do is apply what we did on Belle Isle to how we might be able to help your village. So I'm going to try to move you along through the presentation here. So here we have these devices, and like I said, what it is, it's an extrusion. This is just a short piece. We cut them into lengths of 5, 10, 20, and 40 feet. So if you had a flood in your backyard, or just a pool of water in your backyard, we might put 20 or 30 or 40 of these in the backyard. We drill a bunch of holes. We'll design the system for each application. They're 2 foot below grade. So again, we'll put 5, 10, 20 footers in the ground, sometimes 40. They're 2 foot offset, so a 10 footer, we drill a 12-foot hole. Slide into the ground, the hole's just big enough to fit it. And then we retake the spoils, a little bit of dirt, spoils comes out of the ground, we compact that in. Whatever's left is very minimal. We can get rid of that and move that somewhere else. So once that series of devices, these EVRP devices, are put in the ground, then they start to work with 3 things. They work with gravity, which is, we all know gravity is ever present, vacuum, and hydrostatic pressure. But it doesn't work the day we put it in. It takes a minimum 12 weeks to acclimate. And I'll explain why. Once we put these in the ground, that pressure starts to build around these devices. And it starts to open up the layers in the earth, okay? So we create a capillary action in the soil. The reason a lot of times we have standing water is because there's a lot of clay in the ground, or there's a lot of water pressure in the ground because there's high water. What we do is we open up all these layers of the earth that previously were compacted or could never accept water infiltrating in. We allow that volume, we increase the volume of capacity of the earth to handle water. Now at the surface, you create the ability to infiltrate water at much higher rates. A lot of people use rain gardens and bioswales to do similar things by using roots and allowing the earth to handle the water. This does the same thing, only with much more power, much more powerful, and without maintenance. Once we put these in the ground and we create those capillaries and those new connection points, and let's say we have a bunch of these in the ground, we're opening up all those layers start to connect from device to device. Now you've created a new system, and it only improves over time. Most systems require maintenance and degrade over time. This will improve. We guarantee these systems for 25 years. We know that they will actually last decades and decades, much longer than our guarantee. Because you look at this and you say, well, how can this manage all that volume of water? But what we're really doing is we're turning on the earth so the earth can handle the water. Nature is doing the heavy lifting. We're just a key that's going through all those layers, creating a channel through those layers. We're just the key that's turning it on. We have over 200 commercial installations, and as I mentioned, we have some examples of some of the things we do. Let me show you just a couple more slides here. This is what they look like in the ground. You can see when they're compacted, they're squeezed tighter. That doesn't have a cap on so you can see it, but the cap has to be on. There's a little metal, piece of metal here so we can wand it. We always know where they are on the ground. When there's wetness available, when there's moisture in the ground, it's squeezing these, and it's activating it and allowing that action to occur where we're activating those layers and moving that water. We're moving water as much horizontally as we are vertically. We're working very closely to MDEQ. We're working with a number of engineering firms in the Detroit area and other places. I'll show you the activation period. When we first put them in the ground, it's just a piece of plastic in the ground. But over time, as we create that pressure, we start to get that horizontal movement. More and more as you get into 4 to 6 weeks, 7 to 12 weeks. Once it's finally moving, we're creating all this movement. We get that infiltration from the surface. I can explain and explain, but it probably doesn't mean a whole lot. So what have we done? What's happened in the field where we've installed? And I want to show you some of those projects. That's our drill rig. It's a triple-headed drill rig. We can put 3 of these in the ground at once. That's what our equipment looks like. We manufacture those, and we have a network of certified installers. This is a yard in Grosse Pointe. This woman for years was on a half-inch rain, would get a foot or 2 foot of water in her backyard. Since our system activated, it has never had standing water since, even with some tremendous quantities of rain we've had. And I know you guys are experiencing some of these heavy rainfalls here. This is Plum Brook Golf Course. The area of the section would always flood because it was actually lower than a nearby creek. We solved that problem. But I'm moving quickly because we don't have much time, and I want to show you in particular Belle Isle. This is the Coleman A. Young Airport, 42 foot of clay in the soil. We put some devices in the ground. Now they can mow that grass. The problem there was they wanted to put underground cables. The other problem was the birds hang out in the water, and by an airport, you don't want birds flying around because the #1 reasons planes crash are because of bird strikes. The FAA has taken a great interest in our technology, and they're doing a study. We have a number of studies going on. But what I really want to show everyone here is what we did on Belle Isle. 982 acre island. This is a 24 acre section right here. We installed our system. And the reason we installed the system there is they pay $1.2 million a year in stormwater fees, okay? And they don't want to pay those anymore. Who would want to pay $1.2 million just to take your rainwater and send it to the Detroit Water Sewer Department, okay? So we designed a system to keep the water away from the existing drainage system, okay? Just like you have an existing drainage system here at Goodrich that's taking the water from the golf course to hopefully eventually the drainage area that you have right back here. So there's a real good analogy here. So what we did was we're infiltrating the water naturally now and keeping it away from all the underground drain pipes and the manholes. We're actually able to let the earth handle it faster. We installed the system, we finished the installation in May. Everybody knows that Detroit, or most people know Detroit had a 4.5 inch, a 250-year storm August 11th. So what did we do? We went out to the island that morning, and we wanted to see what our 24 acre section looked like. So I'm just going to run this this video of that and kind of talk you through it. And I hope we're running. So we had 4.5 inches of rain in 24 hours. And this is what Detroit looked like in a lot of areas. I don't know how bad you guys got it here, but that was, I've never seen a storm like that personally. I'm going to try to move this along just a little quicker. So then we get to the island. And this is, not the area we installed on. This was some of the areas adjacent to our installation. The area that we installed on historically was an area that would get pretty wet. It was one of the bad areas where the guys who were servicing the park said, yeah, we never like to mow the lawn here. Since our system's been in place and activated, now it's one of the best areas. You can see all the standing water as you drive along. Again, I don't want to take too much time on this, but I want to get to, here's the area where we were. This is that 24-acre section. And again, there's the newspaper. We call this the Shelter 5 area, because that's the shelter, the number shelter right there. And there's no water there. I mean, there's a couple little teeny puddles. And again, I think the point that you have to take from this, if you're looking at your situation here, is if we were able to infiltrate, and we are, the vast majority of the water that's on the golf course in some strategic areas, you won't have an overflow problem where it crosses the road. And the nice thing is that you won't have to do any maintenance of this system after. Once it's in the ground, okay, it activates and then it just improves. Because once you open up those capillaries, they just keep improving over time. And I think another point to be made is your village had approached us, several months ago. But we understand that there were some legal things that slowed the process down, so we didn't do any preparation or design work on this. I'm not here today with, here's where we put it all, here's kind of what it would cost. We don't have that. We understand that there's a rather short window, okay, to present other alternatives. What we would like to do at Parjana, and what I would like to achieve today, is just enough interest from the community that we could present to you guys a solution using Parjana's technology. I can tell you that whether we would come in higher or lower on the front end, I can tell you that we will solve your problem by catching the water upstream and keeping it from getting into the areas where the problems begin. And with that, I don't know if I have much more to say other than there's some questions. And if there's anything I've missed, bring it to my attention, Bob or George or... Yes?
I know that you can't give us a cost for what it would cost to take care of the village, but can you share with us what did it cost to fix that area on Belle Isle?
That's a very good question. The project on Belle Isle was funded by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Again, the MDEQ is looking at it. We're working with Michigan State University. That project was in the 200,000 range, okay? But that was, again, a research project, so not a normal commercially sold project.
So a commercial size, one of that size, what would that cost?
Well, it really varies per. I've had homes, for instance, that have a backyard flooding issue and they look identical. Our price for one home could be double the price of the other. Because when we look at our design, we look at it holistically. We look at underground water flow as well as surface water. And I don't mean to be evasive, but let me explain how the process would go. What we would do in this case with Goodrich in this situation is we would do what we call a preliminary range. And the range is of no cost whatsoever. We just give a general plus or minus 10% of what the cost would be to achieve the goal that you guys are trying to achieve. And that's been one of the hurdles for us as a company is, creating this. We always say, well, we don't know what the cost is. We were trying to be very careful not to go in and say, well, what if it could be here, it could be there. We'll come back to you over, and this will take a little more than our normal 3 days, but maybe a week or so, and come up with something that will give you a ballpark price so that you guys know where we fit compared to your other options. Yes?
Is it guaranteed?
Yeah, we guarantee it for 25 years.
It means success that if you go into a yard, that water will be gone, no problem.
What we do is on each project, it's always a different performance. Yeah, the short answer is yes. I'll explain a little more. With each project that we put in the ground, there's a performance expectation that's spelled out very clearly, okay? So if it is that the water will be gone in my yard in 2 days after a heavy rain, then that's the expectation we meet. Our system, when it's in the ground, always is working. It's always infiltrating water at a greater rate. But if it's not achieving that goal, we will either add more system to it, and if nothing works, we will refund the amount of money that was paid for the system. Yes?
How long after the rainfall did you shoot the video in Belle Isle?
That was 6 how early was Greg there?
Next morning.
How early was he?
The
there?
rain
7
stopped probably 8 o'clock that evening, and the next morning, I believe, Greg, one of the partners, out at 6 or 7 in the morning.
7 o'clock in the morning, he was out there taking the pictures.
So that was about a 12 hours. And I will tell you, we did not design that system with the mind, we're gonna handle a 450-year rain. We were trying to keep water out of the pipes, just so we could save Belle Isle money. But we infiltrated all that water. Yes?
I have a question, sir. How long have you been in business?
Parjana Distribution incorporated in 2012. The inventor is a Polish immigrant who moved to Hamtramck, moved to the United States in 1984. Okay? So he put his first system in 97. He started commercializing in 2004, 2005, doing a lot of residential projects, waterproofing homes, which you can do with this. You can waterproof underground structures. So the early installations were going in 2004, 2005, 6, and 7. Now with Parjana Distribution, we're taking this nationally and worldwide and creating a worldwide network. So we're still a very young company, but the technology has been in the ground since 1997. Every system we have on the ground continues to work as it was designed to do so. So I hope that helps. We are a young company, and this is a new technology, no question about it. Yes?
Plumbrook was 2006?
Plumbrook was 2006, 7, and that's a good, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a golf course, right? We're talking about a golf course here, and they had a problem that they never thought they could solve, because that area was below a nearby creek. You have a question?
Yeah, from an engineering standpoint, as far as guarantee is concerned, you guarantee that the system will work and it won't disintegrate, but by the same token, when we deal with these heavy rains with a lot of engineers and size of pipe or whatever, there isn't an engineer around dealing with Mother Nature that they will guarantee that you won't have flooding conditions in certain areas. So your guarantee is more for the system, but not guaranteeing that it'll never flood. Is that correct?
No, we will do, specifically, we will spell out what it is, whatever the performance criteria is. Okay, we'll say on a 2-inch rain, or whatever that is, or a 25-year, whatever the parameter is, a measurable parameter, that we will handle that volume of rain, and that's what we will
Do you base your studies on like a 10-year program, study of rain, or you go 100 years, or 200 years?
Whatever the client wants. If they say we want to handle a 10-year rain, my understanding is the system that Genesee County is suggesting that they'll do is a 10-year.
It's terrible. 10 years is nothing.
These days, 10-year rains seem to happen.
Most engineers are going along and they're at least giving pipe systems that'll handle 100-year status, okay? Now they're even going to 200 years. That's the next step.
Yeah.
On the size of pipe for handling a flooding condition. 10 years is nothing compared to that. And as far as the volume of dollars that we were quoted on for 10 years, it was almost ridiculous.
Yeah, and I want to be very careful here. We're here just to present the technology.
I understand.
And I know there's a lot of stuff that's gone on with this. But we actually think we do have a solution that you guys should give a really good look at. And getting back to just sort of answering your question is we design our systems based on, typically someone will put a parameter out, like in Tennessee right now, they say we gotta handle a 1-inch rainfall in 24 hours. That's how they're putting the parameter together down in Tennessee. In different states all over the country, they're increasing their requirements, okay? Michigan, we're all following the different rules, and 10 years probably the minimum that they need to achieve. So that's probably why the county has said we will handle a 10-year. I'm not an expert on all these laws. But whatever it is, whether it's a 25-year or 100-year, whatever it is we determine, we'll talk about what does that mean in inches of rain. And we'll make sure that the goal that's achieved is something that is what everyone, whenever we put a system together, whatever is decided upon, we will design.
My biggest question or concern is, we haven't been experiencing necessarily flooding on the golf course. It's a result of a culvert from the mill pond going to the golf course that's been identified by the Drain Commission. if we just close that culvert, it's my understanding that that water would no longer be funneling through the golf course into the drain system, which is then backing up literally out of the drains in people's backyards. This isn't the same type of, we're having heavy flooding that's in our backyard and staying there. It's a faulty drain system and a culvert diverting water. And my other question, or I'm not really sure that's a question, but I just want to make sure you're clear on where I thought our problems actually lied. My other question would be, what about special assessments? It's my understanding the Genesee County Drain Commission cannot special assess for a green infrastructure plan. They can only do improvements based on drain projects the way they are governed. So where would we?
Well, I won't be able to answer that question, where the money comes from. Of course, as a company, we'll be interested to make sure that whatever we do would be paid for, but I think that's for the community here to determine where that money comes from. On the first part, the point that you made was, it's the you know, the way the drainage is set up, that there's a faulty aspect to it, and I'm not here to dispute the right strategy in which to handle that. What I will say is our strategy would be handle the water upstream, get it to infiltrate into the earth, so that the volume of water that's overflowing and popping out of the drain doesn't even get there in the first place. So, you know, you're really solving the problem if you, I mean, you know, whether the community decides that it's, that where the flooding should occur, we can infiltrate the water upstream so that we take the pressure off of that issue. That's our strategy. That's our strategy on everything. Our philosophy is, and where water management is going as a whole with bioswales and rain gardens and green infrastructure, is handling the rain where it falls. Let's not drain the problem to somebody else. Let's manage the water in the earth as Mother Nature had intended.
That's a good reply.
Wow, a lot of questions, and happy to answer them. I don't know what order.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, just curious, how when you put those in the ground, that they're not eventually filling up with dirt?
Well, that's another good question. It's the pressure, okay? We get about the equivalent, and it's not PSI exactly, but equivalent about 60 PSI. When we pull these out of the, so they're almost, in a way, self-cleaning, and there's all that water pressure. But even if a rock or something got in the channel, the water just doesn't go straight down just like a pipe. You'll see there's 5 channels that are open channels. So there's a lot of pressure, they're really not clogging. We've even seen where roots tend to grow away, okay? And what we're doing is we're creating, when we create those capillaries and that porosity, and if you talk to farmers, and maybe there's some farmers in the room, they talk about porosity in the soil and aeration. The water is actually pulling away with negative pressure, okay? We're not bringing sediments along. The ones we pulled out of the ground, I mean, these are designed 125 years atmospheric. These are rated at 125 years atmospherically. In the ground, they're going to last a lot longer. And even if a rock got in, it wouldn't stop the system from working down here, because we're creating porosity all up and down. All those layers we're opening up are all up and down the entire length. So we've never had that problem where the system starts to fail and get clogged.
We've actually had we actually dug up a 20-foot device after we put it in the ground. We dug the top off. And we can actually still, Andrew, the inventor, turn around and still push it down into the earth. Because it's always flexing, and that's one of the reasons why it doesn't fill up. Because it's always moving, and it's always allowing pressure to push everything out. And it's only moving the water, it's not moving the dirt. And that's what they like about the system.
Back here.
Have you taken the time to actually do a survey on the golf course during a flooding situation to see which way the water flow is going, or if this is going to help, or are we just actually going to fix a couple fairways and greens that are flooding out?
No, we would have to, the strategy that, and we haven't had a great deal of experience looking at the course from top to bottom, but we did tour the course, and we have seen that there are a couple of strategic areas that if you infiltrate water in those areas, that the flow of water from pond to pond and through all the whole water system on the course, that we can manage the water probably in a few, 2 or 3 areas.
But have you guys officially identified the golf course as a flooding issue?
No, that's not our, the flooding issue on the golf course. The course just happens to be the place where we can remedy the problem that's going across the road. If the golf course will have some benefit, I'm sure. But the main point is simply to get the water to infiltrate so that it doesn't get to the hot spot. and cause that flooding in those yards. I hope that answers the question.
Well, I'm just trying to see if, I mean, we're having this presentation done to help the flooding that's going on here in Goodrich, and we're kind of talking about the golf course as the issue of the flooding source. So I'm asking if a study has actually been done to see if the golf course is the cause of all these residents getting flooded. Because this would be a big waste of time if you guys go out and put all these stakes in the ground and we still get flooded.
The engineering report provided by Genesee County, I think will be consistent with that the source and flow of water that's going across the road is, the source is from the course. And that's, maybe someone else can better answer that question that's more familiar with it, but it seems to me to be the problem. That's the flow of the water. It's
We were
going
told
that direction.
otherwise. We were told otherwise.
Okay. I'm not gonna argue those points, but I think that obviously you guys are gonna have decisions to make, and I can only go with what I see. We'll do our own, if we're allowed to do a range, which we would like to do, we'll give our opinion on where we think the source of the problem is. If we aren't solving the problem, we'll design something different, or maybe we won't have a design. Yes?
I have two questions. I saw you out on the course this afternoon. Was this your first time here,
Yeah,
looking at the course?
Yeah.
Because you said the village was in contact with you several months ago.
Yeah.
So this was the first time they called you out to tour the course?
Yeah, we were about to get involved in the more of the process of coming up with a solution, okay? Which was several months ago. We understood that, and I hope I say this properly, that there was some legal issues that kind of brought things to a standstill for a period of time. So we didn't do anything. We decided, well, we were told that, hey, let's wait. And so now the switch, I guess, has been turned back on for coming up with another solution, you know, and so.
All this legal
Here
stuff
we are.
started in August. How prior to that were you first contacted by the village?
I actually don't remember.
February, March, April-ish?
It was later spring, I think.
Okay.
Would be if I could remember, maybe early summer.
Okay. And then my second question is, you said this is guaranteed for 25 years. So
Yeah.
what happens after 25 years? Is it something that has to be redone? Would you be able to go back in and stick that down after the ground's been separated? What happens after 25 years?
We used to guarantee these for 50 years, but no one believed us. Again, remember, most systems.
You've been 16 years.
We've only had a system in since '97, and I don't mean to joke about it, because, you know, you got a product like this that is a complete, you know, change in the way you look at managing stormwater, okay? And you're a young company and you say, well, we got a 50-year guarantee. The reason is, again, is that when you're creating capillaries and porosity in the earth, we're actually, there improves over time. Other systems aren't guaranteed. I mean, no one guarantees their underground storm system for, I don't know, 5 years or 10 years. We're way out of the box for guarantees. We guarantee for 25 years.
Well, right, but my question is,
Yeah.
what happens after 25 years? I mean, do we expect that the system will continue working even without a guarantee? You know, it's like your it's like your refrigerator. You know, it's under warranty for X amount of years. It keeps running, hopefully, longer than that. So I'm asking, after 25 years.
After 25 years, that's the end of our warranty.
But you feel it'll go 50 years?
I think it'll go over 100
Maybe 100 years.
Over 100
But
years.
right now, you just set up your guarantee for 25, but you feel very comfortable it could last 100 years.
Extremely comfortable, and I'm in front of a whole community. And the thing is, I know that there are people here whose, your lives are, your money is attached to this project, and I'm not here trying to oversell what we can do. Our company we get personally involved in our projects. We need to succeed. A 25-year guarantee is a very long guarantee in this industry and in most industries. After that, I don't have any policies or anything beyond that, but we do believe it'll last, like you said, we believe it'll last well over 100 years. And that's the best answer I got.
But there's one part of that that wasn't answered, and my question with
Okay.
that was, is after that thing goes in the ground and it separates it, you know, how you said it separates the layers of the earth and everything. Once it's done working, you know, whether it's 25 years, 100 years, whatever, have you experienced, like, what do you guys do? Is it something that you can go in and put more into the ground, or is it kind of like it's done?
The system won't need improvement. If it did, we could put more in the ground to handle more volume. You might put new developments around that affect the area and draw more water into the area, and you say, well, we need to infiltrate more water now, we want higher capacity. We could enhance the system at a later date, certainly. Yeah.
I'd like to thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. I'm going to leave some business cards up here. If people have questions, and I hope I can handle it. If there's a lot of calls, I hope I can handle them all quickly, but I'll just leave it. I have the cards here. And that's,
Oh my gosh. We'll get it. They won't listen to anything. They have to say that that's what they want. And every time I do the same thing. Thank you very much.
I thought for sure you guys had a private party going on. We've never had this many people here at a meeting before. But we got, on our agenda, we got a spot here for public comment. We like to keep it down to 3 minutes. If you got something you'd like to make a comment on, please do so. We've got a lot of people here. If you got good news, you want to hear. If you got bad news, come next month.
Nope.
I'm joking. This gentleman here wants to speak. Okay.
Can you guys turn on your mics first?
We can't hear you.
You said you were gonna turn them on
I'll do that on
after.
purpose.
I figured, but, okay, fabulous, thank you. Yep.
Am I good to go?
You're on.
Yeah,
All
please
right.
do.
Jerry Birchmeyer, 10477 Valley Creek Drive. In the minutes from the special council meeting, it states that the motions talking about the different proposals with the Goodrich Meadow subdivision are just to be postponed. I remember specifically that the motion was to postpone it to this meeting. I don't see any specific mention on today's agenda about that. So I want to make sure that we're going to be covering that, 'cause as I'm sure you can guess, that's probably why the majority of us are here tonight.
That would be under streets, would it?
No, it's not.
I think we should speak to it, though.
The motion was to postpone it to the regular October meeting, and that's why most of us are here. If it's not part of that specifically, I'd like to suggest that we start talking about that right now, move that to the first thing on our agenda here.
Rick,
Well, we already got the
I
agenda
got
set.
some mention on that particular item I'd like to talk about.
Excuse me, sir, but he's speaking. It's his 3 minutes. You're out of line.
We can work it together,
Um,
okay?
You're out of line, sir.
You didn't mean to interrupt him,
I
did
think,
you?
well, it's gonna be on the, if it's
I'm
gets
not
back on the
interrupting.
agenda, we'll figure out when to do it and that sort of thing. I don't have anything here at my fingertips that says when we're going to get back.
Well, in that regard, then I'd like to make a quick comment. I know in the last meeting it was stated that this council did not know about certain rules with the development of subdivisions and things that have to be done up front with it. Pulled directly out of the council's charters and ordinance, section 16-161, paragraphs B and C. Paragraph B says, the proprietor shall be required to deposit with the village clerk cash, letter of credit, certified check, surety bond, or other arrangement satisfactory to the village council to ensure constructions are completed. The amount of deposit shall be set by the village council based on estimate by the village engineer. Completed construction of all improvements shall be approved by the village prior to final approval of the plat. The village council shall release funds for the payment of work as it is completed and approved by the village. Now, obviously, we discussed last meeting that our subdivision has already been approved by the village, so reading all that, one would assume that any surety or bond or what have you would have been established. The next paragraph, paragraph C, prior to acceptance of village of improvements, a 2-year maintenance bond and an amount set by the village council shall be posted by the proprietor. So again, reading those statements directly from the village charter and ordinance, one would be able to reasonably assume that based on that and the motion that we talked about last time, that there would be some sort of surety or bond or insurance have been set up for the completion of the roads in our subdivision.
Again, does that take 2 years?
2-year for maintenance. The first paragraph says that there is some kind of surety or bond or insurance that the project will complete it, that all construction of the roads will be done. The next one says that there's a 2-year maintenance after it's completed.
Anyone else?
Norm Bass, 10150 Hawthorne Ridge. Basically, in this line, okay, in all my life in construction, whether with roads or whatever. So I took it upon myself after I had read in the paper that we had possibility of a $200,000 paving operation going on, plus $50,000 for an engineer to overlook the project or whatever. My first option was then, I went ahead on my own, as a citizen and taxpayer, looking out after the interest of the subdivision itself, and I went and got some quotes. And I did get a quote for a total of $136,000, not $200,000. The second thing is when I seen this engineering bill of $50,000, I want to bring everybody to light that when this road was originally put in, the engineering was in there in base, grade, and this is strictly nothing more than just topping what we have. Engineering on this is minimal. This is just putting a coat on top of everything that has been engineered. And this $50,000 bill that we get from Wade Trim is absolutely ridiculous. And if we look at it from that direction, okay, I know that engineers will come out and they'll review and overlook the paving operation, which we're talking about 3 days, okay? And these engineering companies will charge for inspection on that around $75 an hour. And the most I can see is a $3,000 bill and not $50,000. With Wade Trim, we've had a lot of other problems with their design on different other projects. And I think it's about time we open up our eyes and start looking for competition in the engineering field and try to get a better job for the community without draining us. Thank you.
Hear, hear.
Bravo.
Hi, Jacob Beck, 9341 Green Road.
I believe Mr. Crowley addressed that at the last meeting, that's why it was gonna be adjourned. You guys are gonna be looking at getting bids for this project. Funny how nobody remembers that, but you guys had addressed it. Secondly, I came up here to get some information from the office considering Jeff's Wright proposals for the drain issue. I couldn't get it because a certain individual was sick and it was only addressed to her. I can't believe there's nobody else in this office that can open up a piece of mail and read something. So I'm hoping on the agenda number 9 that was moved up or down, whichever direction it went, they were going to speak on those 3 proposals that he gave out. But Jackie still hasn't opened her mail.
There was only 4 people that got it. Two board members never got one, so I'm not gonna make a recommendation on it.
But 3 did.
Now, wasn't
The
there,
newspaper
he gave, I
got
believe,
it.
a
It wasn't
30-day
in the
notice of at least needing somebody to recognize that they at least opened the mail and read it? Has that even been done?
The board members that got them opened their mail. Mr. McAbee.
Citizen got it.
I didn't get a copy.
It was for the people that was at the meeting, back in the spring, I guess. We were there and we went through alternatives that we could look at and so forth. First of all, we didn't get, it was dated, I think the 17th or something.
Yes, it was.
And we didn't get it until the 30th. The 30 days are, we still have some time to do that, not that we haven't read it. And we're looking to address it.
Are we gonna hear what the proposals were, so at least the community knows what we're looking at? I
Um,
mean, we're not asking you guys to make a decision, but we at least wanna know
I
what our
it's
options
not,
are.
yeah, like I say, I don't think it's a big secret. Go ahead.
Just to kind of interject that, is online now. I didn't receive a copy directly, I was informed it was online, and it is online. I don't know the exact address.
And I can go there and look at it, but I kinda like to hear from the council members reading it, so we actually get a personal perspective, if you think it's full tap or if it's something we can move forward with. Kinda why I was hoping that, hear from you guys on what your opinions on were. Because I understood, if I'm understanding correctly, that this is in response to the board of determinations to fix our drain. These are the 3 proposals that he's given us to make a decision on. Now, I know we just had a company in there give a pretty good presentation on some ways to funnel some water, so to speak, but I don't believe that we got that in time to give to Jeff Wright to even consider that as an option.
Well, that's your assumption at this point, that he would not accept it. We were at the meetings, and again, may I or not answer this? He basically said, if you can come up with an alternative, all right, that you take responsibility for and so forth. If it doesn't work, then we're going to fall back on live plans. This is a revised plan. There's 3 different options. If you look at, if you average them out, it's $600,000. Right, that's the 3 options, if you average them, what they want to do, 1, 2, and 3.
So it's less.
It's basically just rerouting some of the piping, so that when you look at it, they're not taking up as much area as they first planned to and so forth. I think the original one was $720,000 for the one, and the other one was $585,000. Was the first, the 2 first original 2. I would think that Mr. Wright would still be, as long as we tell him that, we put a hold on it because of the litigation that was there. You heard these gentlemen, they were ready to go, but we had to stop them based on what we were told to do by legal. So we've now re-engaged, and I'm sure that, I would hope that he would, would accept our approach to it now, once we give him the information. And he asked 2 things. How much is it gonna cost, and how much water are you gonna divert? That's the 2 things he wanted to know on his request. And we'll be able to do that after we talk to these gentlemen and have them come up with their plan.
Do we have a time, I don't mean to take up everybody's time, do we have a time frame on when they're gonna be able to assess the situation, do a survey?
I think he said, we usually do it in 3 days, it would take him a week or so to do it.
We're gonna be closed.
Thank you.
Katie Fish, Green Road. I'm really baffled though, I mean, a bunch of members of the council did get a copy of this letter and this proposal from the Drain Commission. If I do recall correctly, not only that, you guys drafted a response to the Drain Commission asking for an extension. Now we're all sitting here playing dumb like we don't know about this proposal, but we just sat through a nice presentation from a whole separate company. When did the council contact Jeff Wright's office or one of our experts contact his office and find out the flow rate? When have we asked for the actual details on what we need to disperse the water? When have we done that? It's a little late in the game to bring in somebody else. If they could have taken this a week, we could have done this 6 months ago. I think it's about time that we do what we motioned for several months ago and bring in the experts. We want the DNR, the DEQ, the EPA, the Drain Commission. This meeting can't hold any longer. We need a nice Q&A just like we just had with this random proposal. He's not the state. He doesn't have the dictation. We need to ask the questions from Jeff Wright. We need to be able to have that kind of question and answer format, and you guys have denied it months and months and months. It's time to move forward with this.
One moment, just so you know, Jeff Wright was invited to this meeting.
He was invited this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was
Before
not
that.
invited this morning.
Before that.
Really?
Thursday.
Yeah. He couldn't come.
They have a representative here, this cubic thing.
Diane Frederick, 7476, nothing to do with the drain, but I see that there's going to be a closed session regarding pending litigation. If you're going to be discussing the lawsuit that we're all going to pay for, we should be able to hear what you say as you're making your decision. Totally unfair for us not to hear what's going on in these private conversations when it affects our taxes and our assessments. You really should do it in front of us, not go behind a closed door. It's our business you're talking about. We should hear about it too.
Rick Reichel, 314 Pleasant Court, Goodrich Meadow subdivision. Two quick things. The first thing is that we were one of the first 3 people in the subdivision 11 years ago. I paid, I think, roughly $65,000 for my lot. I paid for the road to be capped. End of story. I'm not paying anymore. The second comment is, has anybody in that subdivision been assessed? Rick, R-E-I-C-K-E-L.
C-K-E-L?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Has anyone in that subdivision been assessed or made to pay any amount of money on that, on this road yet? No. No? Wrong, my friend. Got it right here.
Why did you ask me that?
Tell the truth.
There's been no special assessment, that's all I can tell you.
July 13th, or July of 2013, Steve Seifert at 10459 Valley Drive, when he was sitting in the closing of his house to Marnie Valley, got a surprise of $594.73 for a paving assessment to the Village of Goodrich.
The Village of Goodrich has no special assessment.
Where'd the money go?
I don't know where that demand came from. It was a closing at a real estate office. I have no idea where the demand came from. There is no special assessment for roads in that subdivision.
You guys are unreal. We'll get to the bottom of that.
You should have gotten to the bottom of it before the closing, I would think.
He's sitting in closing and you guys sprung it on him.
No, we didn't spring it on him.
Oh, so
You guys,
the real
what
estate
guys?
office.
Who? What guys?
So the realtor wanted an extra
You should be asking the
$594.
realtor.
It appears that.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Like they would know that.
The title company did the research.
That's a lot of
how it came to happen.
coincidences on one street.
See how you get out of that one.
They just have to go to the title company, as the title company where they got their
Or
information.
what?
Exactly, from the village.
Yeah, I've got a lot to say. So, Teresa Allen, Ridge Road. I got a few things. I got a packet from a good friend of mine that lives in, I see your fingers, I know I've got 3 minutes, I've been doing this for 3 years.
Okay.
Thank you. Got a packet, a political packet that was left in Mill Point Shores from a good friend of mine. The weird thing is, it doesn't have who it's paid for by, or given by, or presented by, and I thought there was some kind of election and campaign rules and stuff. I don't know, I don't do this, just checking, because it's kind of like a fact finder. Didn't have anybody taking credit for it.
That was an omission, that's been corrected.
And
Again.
I want to point out in this, I just kind of want to put everyone's mind at ease because there seems to be a lot of scare tactics going on here. It stated that, the mill pond could become a landfill and, the fire safety and all of that. So I took it upon myself because I was kind of concerned. I thought, God, that might be scary having a landfill in Goodrich. So I contacted the DEQ, and they emailed me back. And basically, they said permitting for any landfill would be handled by another division of the DEQ. However, as a general case, when dams are removed, much of the former impoundment would revert back to its natural wetland or floodplain state. As such, those parts of the impoundment would still be regulated by the Water Resource Division, and any project would require permitting under the state's wetland, floodplains, and in-lakes and stream statutes. I cannot think of one recent example for which landfill construction was ever permitted in a wetland adjacent to a regulated stream. So just wanted, we're not gonna get a landfill in Goodrich. Phew! The other thing is FOIA protection. According to a FOIA to Shirley Catman-Jones, she stated that the fire engines are filled at night, every night. They're always full and ready to roll on a fire call. And if they run out of water, they use the nearest water resource, whether it's the Kersley Creek, Gale Lake, Lake Shinnecock, wherever they are, they use the nearest water source. And as far as the insurance rates going up, if there wasn't a dam, and I'm not saying one way or the other, I'm just saying if there wasn't a dam, we wouldn't have the liability insurance. So it might equal out. So I just kind of wanted to put some of that at rest. And lastly, I'm going to request when council does move forward with a drain project to consider who you're using as your representatives, because we got some shady stuff going on, and I made a copy for you if you're not educated on the history and, being a resident and knowing you got somebody working on this with all that happened, it's kind of hard to take anything seriously, so would you guys like a copy? Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go into closed session.
Hey, we still have people, still have public comment, don't we?
If you wanna go, man, let's get at it.
All right. This is the fact finder again. Just wondering how you're doing on it. Every time, every month we're up here asking about it.
4.
And what'd you say? You're investigating it, or you're going to? Did you
No.
say that?
He said it's a dead issue.
Oh, you did.
No,
You
he
said you were looking into it.
Your associates.
Now, why is it? Okay, and one other thing. Mr. McAbee, I
Yes.
want to commend you. You're the
My
only
last
one.
night.
Pardon?
My last night.
I know it is. I want to commend you on a job well done.
Here, here,
All the
here.
stuff you- I want to commend you for wanting this investigated, because nobody else here does. They're either a part of it, or they condone it. And I want to commend you for that. The rest of you?
This time, sir?
We have to go into closed session and
Yeah,
discuss
let's
it.
go. Okay, it's fine.
We're not done.
We're not done
No,
yet.
not right now, when you're done.
Thank you.
Did you want to try to?
No.
Bus Summers Wilson, 8281 Meadow Creek Drive. I too, like my neighbor, had looked into the Goodrich code on the planning commission. You guys gave me this book. I don't see anywhere in here where the residents of a subdivision are responsible for any of their roads. In fact, it says in terms of preparation for a subdivision, it's the planning commission, the village planning commission, the village office, and the village council. I'm not up here to say you guys didn't do the right thing, or I'm not here to accuse and find out why that wasn't full. But the bottom line is, we all want to have this village run more like a business rather than a fraternity. And to run like a business, you need to admit your mistakes and move forward with them. You guys made a mistake back in 2000, whatever, Rick, it was. When you guys, 2002, thank you. But we didn't make that mistake. So I think in terms of an analogy, I work in the automotive industry like many of you guys and many people in this facility do. When my engineers make a mistake which causes a recall, I have to find it within my own budget to pay for those mistakes. I don't go to you who bought that car that has a recall and make you pay for that car or that repair. So don't look to us in the subdivision to pay for you guys' mistakes. Run this like a business. Many of you are up for re-election, and I'm looking to see how you guys want to run this council. Are you going to run it like a business, like we should, and admit your mistakes, move forward, and pay for this? Because I paid for the $65,000 lot back in 2005 as well, and I'm not.
55,000 here.
Tim Brannon, 10366 Bailey Drive. Last but not least, I'd like to say I'm speechless, but y'all know better than that. First of all, I'd like to hand out these pictures, if you would, Mr. President. These are pictures of Goodrich Meadow subdivision roads. And if you'll notice these wonderful pictures, you'll notice that numerous potholes exist. Big surprise. I've been a resident in there for 10 years. Sorry, Rick, I only paid $50,000 for my lot.
Got out cheap.
You know, I love this village. It breaks my heart to have to leave. But my point with these pictures is, in December 9th, 2002, the village council adopted the roads. Okay, I know you gentlemen weren't here. You know, God bless you. Ms. Sidge, you were. When you adopted the roads, they put them pretty green and white signs that said Valley Drive, Valley Meadow Creek. Sorry, guys. They put them signs up, which means they're a village road. Now, part of that is you receive state aid for them roads. Okay? I haven't had that 10-year-old ditch in my road in front of my house. I haven't had one cold patch put on that. I'd really appreciate it if you might throw some pavement on that, if you would be so kind. Also, I got the citizen right here, page 25, public notice, Atlas Township. It's for a special assessment for repairing roads. By the way, I'll show you the article if you're not sure how to write it. That way you can inform us, like you did September 22nd, which was kind of wrong because you posted it on a Friday evening for a Monday afternoon. And I'm also concerned, I've asked you, Mr. President, 4 times, I'd like an investigation in regards to, you can look in your minutes, in regards to the fact finder. Mr. Ciroli, I'm sure you're a wonderful man, but what your, we'll say it, employee, associate did was wrong. You wouldn't want your name, address, phone number in the newspaper, in the village fact finder, which mind you is misrepresentation, being that it's titled the Village of Goodrich Fact Finder. So let me see, how much time do I have left?
0.
0? Okay, well, while we're closing, look up resolution 2002-35 for the whole, it's for the sole purpose of state aid, and you'll find it interesting. But I will give you this article on the Atlas public notice in regards to special assessment.
Okay, at this point, we're not going to go into closed session. Shouldn't take too long. If you want to stick around, fine. If you don't, that's fine.
Yeah.
Motion to roll call.
It's because you got trees, that's why.
Yes, you're right.
Well, we paid when we.
I don't like that stuff.
Are you sure? You will be mad at me? Yeah. Your lifesaver just hit 100% when they came in.
Excellent.
I got my grandkids
We're going to, I'm going to make a motion to start the meeting that it's in progress.
Support.
Okay, motion to make and support. Roll call vote, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, on the agenda, unfinished business, Genesee County Sheriff's Department report. Everybody should have a copy of that, take a look at it. We don't need a motion, because everybody knows that we've got it. Street Administrator, 911, waterways.
The trees were removed, the bid was 1,600, it come in at 1,350. Project's been completed. I do have one thing, we can't do it tonight, but we're gonna have to get a new over for one of them. Salt spreaders, it's shot, $800 bucks,
Thanks.
but it's not on the agenda, so hopefully we'll get through until we get it. They have them, but we can't, it's $800, but it's not on here, so I can't do anything about it. I just found that out today when they were working on it.
Street Administrator, anything here? Pretty much got it.
That's it.
Okay. 911, anything going on with that?
At the last meeting, the city of Flint and the Genesee County 911 made a determination that they were going to merge. We're working out the details.
Okay. Waterways, Parks and Rec, we discussed Park and Rec sometimes a little bit. Code enforcement, I don't think Dave is here. Administrative.
The only thing I have is Halloween trick-or-treat hours. Do you want to do the candy collection and make Halloween hours the same as they were last year?
What were they last
8 to
year?
12 or whatever.
Oh, yeah, 6 o'clock or something? Or
6 to
They
7.
were 6 to 7:30.
6 to whatever they
What's it,
were.
I'm sorry, what's the time?
6 to 7:30 for Halloween.
6 to 7:30? Okay.
Information on a dam, I think is pretty much a done deal. Sidewalks, anything there? Any village property?
Signs sealed, delivered, and the titles are conveyed.
That's a good deal.
Money's in the bank.
Hallelujah.
State road property. Let's see, we got a letter stating something was being done.
The judge ordered Mr. Corey to remove the building demolished by October 10th.
What year?
He's not gotten his building permit unless he got it later today. So they're working on getting that taken care of. Consumers has been there and they
Yep.
filled up gas.
Consumers there, and they capped the gas.
Hopefully it's going down.
Building's coming down, yeah?
We won so far.
The church house.
Has the sewer been on hold?
Finally, eh?
No,
No?
not that. It wasn't on the
Yeah.
last
What about the
night.
other project?
How about this dig? That's a consumer power thing.
You don't want it.
We talked about the mistake program before, Mr. McKinney reviewed it, and what I need is direction from you to sign the agreements with them that we will pay them when to come and do our sweeping in conjunction with Genesee County. Anything else?
No.
How much money is it every trip?
No, we have to pay them $100 a year, and then I think it's $145 for a connection. And that goes on indefinitely. So I need a motion to direct me to sign the paper.
Okay, make a motion, to sign the paperwork, send it to.
Support.
I'm gonna roll call vote on it.
Baldwin,
Yes.
McAdie?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Siroli?
Yes.
Horton?
Yes. Under new business. We have a couple of resolutions.
By the
Resolution,
sounds of it, the first resolution, the Parks and Recs plan, I would postpone that, definitely, or until, additional meetings have been held, on what the citizens have said during the public hearing.
Do you need a motion? Make a motion to postpone the decision, postpone the decision on resolution 2014-15 Parks and Rec.
second. Motion been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Baldwin?
Yes.
McAdie?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Siroli?
Yes.
Horton?
Yes. The next resolution we have is resolution 2014-16, appointment of planning commission people that will be on the planning commission. The number of people are pretty low, so we've got 2 or 3 people that are interested.
I think we're lucky that people step forward. It's hard to get people to volunteer.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're grateful, we still need, more people to have on our list, so, everybody's interested.
Well, I make the motion, we accept resolution 2014-16 for the planning commission. Did we have people listed on that?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Trudy Conlon,
Oh, yeah.
Doreen Hodges, Shannon, Nick.
Okay,
Support.
Okay, motion been made and supported. Roll call vote, please.
Baldwin? McAdie?
Yes.
Lori?
Yes.
Siroli?
Yes.
Horton?
Yes. I had number $5. That just what we went through about the consumers power, fees, the $100 fee or something like that.
No, that was the one I added on,
Yeah.
number 5. No, that's the public notice for the franchise agreement. But Pete's gonna talk about his widget.
Okay.
We all know that we had a perfect storm here not too long ago. Last year we had a nice storm. And we've been going out renting a chipper. The first chipper we rented, I think the bill was close to $2,000. It was a little bit smaller engine than this one. And I happened to know, I met the guy that sold Evans, and he now works for him, and I asked if he ever had one for sale. And he said, well, are you coming in again? I said, yeah, they're gonna be back Monday. Well, he says, I want you to take one of the 48 horse. And there was one brush pile in Goodrich Metals, I believe it was. Mills Point, excuse me, and the lady asked the guy that was cutting the tree next door what he wanted to take care of it, and he told her $200. And my guys kind of feel if we had this, just in Dutch Road alone, we need to go through there and cut the canopy out. And we can hire somebody to do it, or we could have this thing here, and it would be available. We just go cut it and get rid of the stuff. There's chips out there for people. We can't take this stuff and burn it, because we don't have a place to burn it anymore. And it makes a mess. Chips are reusable. He told me this machine when it's new was between 35 and 40,000. We can buy it for 15,900. The biggest problem you have to keep it greased. You have to keep them sharp. And time to time you have to change the belt. And it would be something that maybe a couple times a year in the spring when people are cleaning up, they put their brush off, we just come and take
Put it into the roads.
chip it up. And I think it would be beneficial not only to the community, it would be quicker to remove stuff. These storms, Dutch Road's been a killer for us in the last 3 years. Every time the wind blows, the road gets closed.
No way.
And it's not our trees on our right of way, but they get out in the middle of the road. So I leave it up to the board to decide. It's $15,900. Your
machine looks like it's brand new. It does a great job. And it could help all the citizens out, getting rid of the brush and spraying it.
Yeah, right.
Put it into the roads. Are you kidding me?
There's no warranty on the 5-year-old machine.
Oh.
But it's the biggest thing you got on it, is the motor, and they run forever.
It's diesel.
It's a diesel, so we always have fuel here. We do have diesel.
How many hours?
How many hours is on this?
Yeah.
I didn't ask you.
Long time. Don't buy it.
Looks pretty much brand new. They take real good care of them. He said he wouldn't sell it if it wasn't.
Oh.
He drove those to the bigger chariots. So it matters. So it's up to you, gentlemen. You just wanna think about it, see what happens, go through the winter or whatever, but, I got a feeling with the ice storm we had this winter, we're gonna have more stuff down the few storms. A lot of these trees are really stressed.
We get an ice storm.
Do you have any more,
That's a whole other deal.
do you have any literature on it?
Just the sheet we got in there.
Yeah, I was looking for that, for some
Yeah.
reason, I didn't see that.
Table it.
I'm hesitating. I'd almost prefer that you wait, get a newer one.
I guess I had a question in the past, how many times a year do you drill them?
We've been renting them a couple times a year. We've gone to Browns, they had one, but we've been going to Evans lately, so.
Couple $1,000, $3,000 a year?
Yeah, we probably spent that much this year already. Probably over that this year. I think it's the third time we've had it.
Probably.
They burned it in front of
No.
the people, huh?
Go on here,
Do
see.
you think like that on the budget?
Let's see.
Not that much.
Cost that much to maintain
Full-time
it.
property money, that would offset half the property needs. To use that.
What do you guys think? I mean,
I think you can rent one an awful long time, you get 5 years of rental out of that.
There you go.
I agree.
There you go, pressure. I will say, if it's coming from what used to be ovens, they do take good care of the equipment, there's no question about it. They're on a good ship over there, but I don't think right now we can afford it.
Some money for the roads.
well, you know, that unless we have a big time windstorm in the next couple of months, or ice storm, which would be worse, probably with the rain and the wind we've had the last month, anything that was gonna come down probably has come down. I know, we do have a gentleman from, that lives in Goodrich, that has the business of, taking trees down and taking limbs out of trees, and he does have a big chipper. And I think we've used him before, I know my mom and dad have used him. So I don't know, Pete, I think it's something that,
Put on the wish list.
put on the wish list, we just don't know what's gonna happen in the winter.
I got a wish list.
I think it's put on the back burner and see what happens.
Okay, no problem.
Jackson, anything else?
Resolution
You got it?
2015.
Hazardous mitigation, 2014-17, it should say, is the village adopting the county's hazardous mitigation update plan. Plan update. You need a resolution.
This is something that's been in existence, or you're just re-upping for another year, and updating?
Yes, they, is that what you're asking? Is
Yeah.
this the update?
It's the update. We've been involved before.
Can you make that motion?
Okay, I'll do that.
Support.
Good. Make a motion, we accept resolution 2014 dash 15. 17. Okay, you correctly changed it, 17.
Motion's been made and supported, roll call vote please.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Maureen.
Yes.
Cirelli.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes. Anything else?
The next one is, just need direction to publish the consumer power franchise agreement. We worked on this 2 or 3 months ago, and it needs to go for public notice and lay on a desk for 3 days, so we have to publish it. So I need direction, authorization to publish it.
You've got an authorization. You can roll call vote on that.
I need a motion.
Okay, make a motion to give you the authorization.
Support.
Motion made and supported, roll call vote please.
Baldwin.
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Maureen.
Yes.
Cirelli.
Yes.
Horton.
Yes. Anything else, Jack? Sorry.
Now we're gonna talk about, Tom Butter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been authorized by you to read this opinion letter that was generated from my office regarding an investigation of a campaign flyer. The Village Council has been requested to investigate the publication and distribution of local election campaign material. Most of the complaints presented at Village Council meetings have been strictly with regard to the content of the campaign material. It has been argued that the publication and distribution of the campaign material violates a state ethics code. The distribution of the material was by first-class mail. Local governments are limited by federal constitutional and statutory principles in regulation of private actions and expression. The limitations contained in the Bill of Rights have been extended to all 50 states and their political subdivisions. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution bars government regulation of free speech. There is a particular interest in our country and in our communities in the protection and free exchange of political speech. There is a quotation from Supreme Court Justice Robert Jackson that is appropriate to this circumstance. Quote, "If there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, it is that no official, high or petty, can prescribe what shall be orthodox in politics, nationalism, religion, all other matters of opinion, or force citizens to confess by word or at their faith therein." Close quote. Courts are sympathetic to the idea that the distribution of pamphlets or leaflets is classic means of political communication. A local municipality's ability to regulate political expression is very limited. The municipality's purpose in regulating free political expression cannot cross the line into regulation or suppression of content. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution prohibits the Goodrich Village Council from conducting any investigation of free speech, especially political speech, or otherwise regulating political speech. The request of the Village Council for an investigation should be denied on grounds that the Village Council has no business investigating or otherwise regulating political speech, which is protected for all of us under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. No Michigan statute regulating ethics can suspend the United States Constitution and the rights protected under the Constitution.
Thanks, Tom. I cleared up the piece of information. Anyone have anything else? I've got one thing I want to bring up.
Litigation first.
Oh, I got a letter shortly ago, not too long ago, back from your carrier, your insurance carrier. They have denied coverage for the village, for the lawsuit. The village is on its own in terms of paying its attorney and also in terms of paying any damages or any settlements. I'm going to write a letter to the carrier to revisit the issue, but your alternative to writing a letter would be to file a lawsuit and ask for declaratory action in the circuit court and I'm not recommending that.
So I assume now it becomes to go forward without going back to the insurance company? Or
They've told us to go forward. And they probably anticipate there might be a letter, they may anticipate there might be a declaratory action, but essentially they looked at the complaint and they looked at their policy, and the allegations in the complaint are not covered by the insurance. I'll send out a letter to the carrier and ask them to revisit the issue, but I'm not recommending declaratory action in the circuit court, which would be seeking an order of a judge compelling them to defend. And those are very, very expensive, and not, the record on success is not encouraging.
Okay, there is a few minutes here for public comment. Anybody else like to address?
Question in regards to the chipper. Mr. Maury, God, I love you, man, but Tim Brannon, my apologies, 10366 Valley Drive. Okay. I love you, man, but it's like Christmas in October here. You get a sweeper, yeah, you're running out flowers.
Computers.
First of all, when you check out equipment, especially diesel, you want to check the hours out, very important. And then a piece of equipment that is expensive, real good idea to run an oil sample. It'll tell you how the internals are running. Trust me. And also, Mr. McKinney. So you're, Mr. President, what the attorney is stating, that it's all right for a member of the village council to print a resident, a taxpayer's phone number, address. That's okay, that's constitutional. My hairy ass, I'm sorry.
Let me clarify what I said. What I said is that it's not the business of the council to regulate speech. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't know the answer to that question, about what was contained in there. There's no law against publishing somebody's phone number that I'm aware of.
But under the onus of the village?
I don't know what you mean by under the onus of the village. The question
Well, it stated the village of Goodrich, fact finders.
The question for the council was, should we investigate a campaign publication? And I'm saying absolutely not. That is not the business of local government, of county government, of state government, or the federal government. We are a country that encourages free political speech.
Well,
It can even get crazy out there, and you and I know that.
Yes,
And it's protected.
I wasn't aware that was a campaign flyer.
That's exactly what it appeared to be. It doesn't matter if it's a campaign flyer, if it's political speech about any political issue, it's protected. Free speech is protected in this country.
Against the
Okay.
residents?
And so it's broadly protected. That's why the internet's a crazy place. Because it's
This
protected.
wasn't on the internet.
That's just an example of how crazy it is.
It is
And how
now.
broad.
It is crazy.
And how broad the federal protection is. This is not a dictatorship where you can be called to question.
I beg to differ.
Well, I'm not making jokes, I didn't interrupt you. This is not a dictatorship in this country where you can be called to question about what you said. We don't do that here. And the village council has no business doing that. Everybody has the same rights.
Well, this young lady has a family. She's a single mom. She doesn't need any wackos bothering her. And I'm completely disturbed at the take on this. It's disturbing.
And you are absolutely within your rights to express that.
And I just wish our our council, Mr. President. I hope you're not smiling because you're feeling funny, sir.
Smiling because your 3 minutes is up.
That's all you
Okay.
care about.
Well, and
And you made a lot of good points.
Jeez.
thank you. And also, before you buy any equipments, could we please get our roads fixed? Thank you.
Jacob, that Green Road again. I kind of agree with Mr. Brandon here. Was that literature that was given out, say, paid for by the committee of, or anything like that?
It doesn't matter what it said. You can't get into the content of it. You can't regulate that. No governmental agency can.
Right, but there's the ethical value that a council member takes when they are
It
elected.
doesn't suspend the First Amendment rights of whoever
In our
published it.
charter, there has to be a trial board when there's kind of misconduct goes on, and giving out personal information
The charter
shouldn't be
doesn't,
investigated.
the charter does not suspend First Amendment rights. I'm sorry. Don't shoot the messenger.
I'm not sure that's correct. You said it's a political statement. And if you're going on record saying it's a campaign letter, then by rights it has to say committee
I don't
paid
think it
for
does have
by.
to say that. It can say whatever it wants. You cannot
So
suspend.
then
First
anybody on
Amendment
this
rights.
council that comes out from the village of Goodrich can give out social security numbers and everything that they have access to in this office in a campaign letter or a political letter, and you're saying it's acceptable.
I just gave my opinion. I researched it.
I understand that. I'm addressing this more to the chair, and I appreciate your answer.
And I'm only telling them that they cannot do it.
Right, but they have access to information that we don't have out there. And it's unethical for them to give that information out to the public. That's where the misconduct comes into our charter, to where the investigation needs to be taking place, if this individual did do that.
I'm asking for legal action.
What you guys are doing is wrong, and you know it's wrong.
Henry Mortella, 8010 Schuman Garden. There's an election coming up. Media's here. This man right here owns the company. Vote him out. That's all I can say. Vote him out.
One thing I'd like to say is, we talked about Doug earlier. Doug has been on the board how many years, Doug?
That's on four, this, I was on planning commission.
And anyway, this is his last meeting, and he's done a great job. He's been here every time, you know, every month he's been here. He thought he contributed to the meeting. He sat back in a corner a lot of times and made me talk before I could realize that he wanted to say something. But I know he has something good to say. And for that, I appreciate you running prior to being elected and being on the board. And I think you've done a great job.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you, ladies in your office, for everybody out there. You know, I think serving even in a small capacity in a small town is important. It's hard to get volunteers. And I think that you know, sometimes I was that squeaky wheel, one always brought things out, but I did get a lot of calls, and I had to ask the questions that the people wanted to ask, not necessarily what I wanted to ask. That was their voice at the table. And I know sometimes you must have thought, what the heck to bring that up for? And it was, might be back, they would tell. So for now, I appreciated all the support. I'll be sitting out there.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think I'll make a motion to.
Oh, I wanted to make one more comment.
I did too. Jeff Smith, 8291 Meadow Creek Drive. I'm just trying to find out from the council. I spent a lot of time here tonight, had to get a babysitter. Was wondering if you could give us some direction on where you're going with the roads and the subdivision that was brought up earlier.
I think he's gonna look into it.
Does that help, Jeff? Feel better now?
They're gonna scale the audience each meeting and decide when they're gonna put it back down.
Zmich, Z-M-I-C-H.
Actually, I think where we are on the roads, I think it would be beneficial to you folks that live in that subdivision to know that I think it's a good idea that until we actually get new development, there's gonna be a lot of new development on that road. There's a number of lots that have been sold already. There's a builder, Ricky Gordon, one that's going to build new homes there. I think it's a good idea to wait until all that is done. That way you're not gonna have heavy equipment, cement mixers, whatever, run up down your road on a brand new surface. Because what you're doing is just creating a problem on something that's been fixed. So with that said, it's kind of been a council agreement that let's just kind of wait and see what the roads are gonna look like after construction is completed. At that point in time, we'll take a look at.
Can we please get them patched? Mr. Hort, can we get them patched?
And the village is gonna pay for it? Just put a pin in it. We'll get back to that. Yeah.
Can we get them patched,
There's
sir?
nothing in the, right now about an assessment, is that?
No. There's nothing in there that says anything about an assessment.
One more year, they would gravel roads.
I know, that's what I was just thinking.
I think what they wanna hear is that we did discuss repairs.
What's this?
He basically covered my question. I know last meeting there was full motion to postpone it to this meeting, so we're just wanting to get some time.
Okay. Nothing else to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Oh, wait, I still have one more. I didn't talk about it.
Okay, you know.
I just am wondering, at what point are we going to start action on the other blight on M15, just a few doors down from the one we've been pursuing legally for a year?
You're talking about the house?
I'm talking about on M15 and what would that be? East Eagle? East Eagle, that yellow abandoned home on the corner, across from Ken's Ready Mix. That one just looks just as bad, if not worse. It doesn't have a tarp, but the paint is peeling, there's dead trees, logs laying in the yard. If we're worried about blight, we need to go after all. Everybody's seen it, right? Everybody on that
Take a look at that. I know who owns that house.
I know you do, you're cousin.
Mr. President, you never answered me about the road. Well, so do I, but you haven't answered me. I had
What
a
answer would you like?
about our roads. Could we at least get them repaired?
I don't know about getting repaired. All I know is that we want to put off, putting the second cap on, what's there now.
Well, no, I want them repaired,
I don't have an
sir.
answer, I don't have an answer for you.
You can go out and buy equipment, but you can't repair your village roads.
Not buying equipment, we talked about it.
No, you bought plenty of equipment.
Well, the equipment's help, that's just because you got a bad spot in the road. We're still out there
I
plowing.
got a
snow.
bad road, not a bad spot.
Well, we're still plowing it.
He don't
And-
care.
And you're tearing up the culvert because the road is bad.
We're still plowing the winter.
The
bus
equipment
garage
is
is
supposed to
called
be
us to plow.
used to help all the residents. Are we not the residents in Goodrich Meadows?
Have we plowed all the roads?
Have you repaired the roads?
Nope. I'm not sure what's
It's
gonna be
not a
done.
finished product.
Okay.
Guys, can I tell you something? The worst thing you can do is try to get that fixed now and put it on. With all that other construction work coming up, you need to relax, let it go through its principle, get all those homes built in there. That's the worst
Wait,
one.
just look him up by name. Google his name.
If you put the code on.
Google his name.
That's why we're talking about. I understand, but I'm just telling you, you can't.
I'll get our roads repaired.
Meeting adjourned?
Robert's